So this is probably the seventh time I've tried to record and upload this video. For reasons unbeknownst to me, I guess, I don't know. Inshallah, this is the seventh and last freaking time that I record this video. Because if I have to re-record it, I'm gonna crash out. So seventh time is the charm. Now, I wanted to make this video as a bit of a memento for my future self, more or less. I have currently started learning C++. It's been good so far. Lots of things to go over, lots of things to discuss, but I'm going to try my hardest to not go on too many tangents. I have a really bad habit of just going off into like the abyss when it comes to talking. So I kind of have a little structure for myself to just kind of keep on track, more or less. Now, I have been in the game for about 2 weeks, and so far so good. I'm already starting to feel like a bit of a veteran. Now, for a bit of background, I am currently studying for my cybersecurity cert. I decided to pick up C++ for a few reasons. There's not too many like uber specific, like a lot of people get into languages with a very specific reason for learning them. I didn't really, but more on that later. I'm not currently in uni, although I definitely am aiming for uni, but we'll see. We don't know where things will go. Who knows, right? So as far as reasons, again, for why I learned C++, there wasn't really like any kind of grand moment. I just sort of got caught between analysis paralysis, and I kind of figured out, hey, look, I've got 3 languages that I really want to learn. I'm going to just pick like one and I'm absolutely going to lock in. Python was cool, but I wasn't really like that crazy about it, admittedly. I haven't really used it with any frameworks, so that's probably why I don't feel that, because I don't know its full power. Rust is cool, and C++ I liked because I could do, like, it's general. It's so general. It's so versatile. You can do everything. So that was like the winner with a chicken dinner. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick this. That's it. Not going to worry about anything else. This is me, khalas. I'm also learning a bit of maths on the side just because I did have previous experience with programming very, very minimally. But because I was so like anti-math, I got nowhere. And I realized that once I actually accepted the fact that programming is quite literally just applied mathematics, I'll actually do well. And I have been doing a lot better considering. So I will be like broadcasting or documenting some of my maths progress as well. So you kind of have a more like rounded idea of what I'm really doing, right? I understand that lots of people, especially programmers, have so many opinions, and that's not a problem in of itself. But as a beginner, I kind of think that one of your biggest enemies can be indecision, and mine certainly was and kind of still is. So while there definitely would be at least half a dozen languages out there that might be better suited for a beginner, I reckon I might just go like commit. I'm going to commit essentially, right? I'm just going to commit. I'm locked in. We're locked in. Finally, for this little bit, my personal aim with learning C++ and maths isn't necessarily like my goal isn't like employment. Like I'm not doing this because of the job market or whatever. I understand that the job market and like CS grad student is a very like big topic right now. I personally am not doing this for that. I'm just doing this for the love of the game type shit. I'm just about that life. I'm literally just about that life. Now, a really quick briefing on my learning routine. So there were a few things that I did or am doing rather to kind of get myself more attuned with the language. One of them is kind of just using websites. So I'd like read up information on the internet from various people, or various sources rather. And those are very theory dense sources. And I had been doing that for the better half of the past 2 weeks. Admittedly, I haven't been doing too much coding just cause like I kind of just wanted to get somewhat of a fundamental understanding of what was going on before I actually went straight into the code. And also I'm kind of scared of programming in this language, not gonna lie. I followed some tutorials as well. That's a very important one. it's kind of funny because some of the tutorials that I've looked up are literally like 7 years old. I'm not saying that that's the case for like I'm not saying that that's the case all across the board. I'm just saying that the ones I've run into were like made at least a couple of years ago, but I still got lots of utility and just lots of really good advice from those tutorials. So yeah, I've just been messing around with tuts. So I've just been messing around with tutorials, and just kind of learning some good habits or some bad ones actually, some very very bad ones. Now, of course, there's the final class. Well, not final, but there's the classic. Just looking at source code, looking at copying. I haven't really been doing much copying, but lots of observing I have been doing. So, and that's actually. So I haven't been copying too much source code. I actually haven't copied anything at all. But I have been doing lots of observing, just reading, looking. No, I'm lying. I haven't been doing lots of. I've done some code observing, and I found some pretty interesting like insights so far that I will be sharing in a second. But yeah, it's still kind of in the reconnaissance stages, you know what I mean? So by and large, that's more or less kind of been what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Nothing crazy at all. Literally just the most like rookie shit ever, and just figuring things out from there. I also definitely made sure to like actually apply some amount of thought when I would like follow a tutorial. So instead of just blindly copying, I kind of go, okay, what's the logic behind this? What's this actually doing? What's that actually doing? Just building up that game sense. And I'm saying that intuition. So yeah. Now onto the good part, onto the part that people were actually people. Now onto the part that my audience has been waiting for. So I just want to disclaim that I fully like when I wrote like this list, I felt like I had rediscovered fire. I literally felt like that eureka guy. But now that I've condensed it all into like a list and I've dot pointed everything, and I'm ready to share it to the world, I kind of feel like a kid showing like mom her macaroni project. I'm just like, mommy, look. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it wonderful, mommy? Isn't it amazing? I understand that for a lot of you guys, this is gonna be the most like basic shit ever. But for me personally, this was like, holy shit. Like this is actually kind of game changing. So please be patient. In any case, the first thing that I kind of realized or that I learned was that there are literally only a finite amount of moves that can be made. What I mean by that is initially the way I kind of perceived coding and programming was that developers would literally just like be doing witchcraft like at these stations, like literally shaking bones and crystals and shit, and like the computer would somehow spit out just like magic. I thought that so much of the work that was done in development was just super out there, right? Like people are literally creating these just little spells from these tomes, and it's just beyond the common man. When in reality, it's literally just the fundamentals, the most basic aspects of programming, repeated time and time and time again, and eventually abstracted to a point where it becomes its own concept. And then once, you take that like apart, and then, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's just the fundamentals ad infinitum, which is what makes it feel like it's really advanced. Now, how did I come to this groundbreaking conclusion? I was watching All the President's Men, 1976, and I decided on taking a look at some of the code that I downloaded from GitHub. It was PCL, the source code for a point cloud library. And I was just having a look at it. I wasn't doing anything crazy or anything interesting at all. I was just curious about what was actually going on under the hood. And I come across a block of code. I'm going to see if I can find the exact bit, just because I feel like it's more, I don't know. But essentially, this block of code that I come across, I was taken aback because I realized how, not basic, but how straightforward it was. You know what I mean? I was able to kind of identify that there was like relationships going on and they were more clearer and more just straightforward than I previously imagined. And at that point I realized, okay, cool. it's not that this is beyond me, it's that it would just require a lot of patience from me. Now, granted, Point Cloud Library is just like crazy, you know what I mean? It's such a crazy advanced piece of software, which is exactly why I literally felt intimidated, because I'm just like, taken aback, really, because I'm just like, oh my days, this is such a crap piece of software, and you're telling me whoever, all the developers were just using the exact same fundamentals that like we learn or that anyone else learns. You know what I mean? It was actually really, it was really motivating in a way. It was actually so shocking that I literally wrote like a little journal entry here, and I texted it to my friend, but I just felt like it was a really cool piece of knowledge because it totally just opened this up way more to me. It's not just incredibly complex like things that are just beyond you. It's, you can do this too. You just need the patience and grit and determination, and know how to do it, but it's not beyond you. So yeah, just finding out that at a base level everything is really primitive. So just finding out that like at a base level everything is really primitive, but people just get really creative with those limitations. That was pretty gas, not gonna lie. I really like that. That was huge for me. Also, one of the things that I will just like never get over, there are 1,000,001 ways to initialize a variable. I don't know what the goal is with that. I don't know whose idea was that. And I'm still trying to figure out why that's even relevant, or like what it even, you know what I mean, what it really means. Like the list is as long as the Bible, and it's like, alright. But in due time we'll figure out what these things actually do and what they're actually for. Another one was Dunning-Kruger. Just realizing how much there is out there to learn. That was, because you start off like, as soon as you think that you are set because you understand like a few things, all of a sudden it's like, here come a trillion other things that you have to reckon with, right? And that's not a bad thing in of itself at all. Again, it's just, at what point do you ever feel like you've learned enough? At what point do you ever feel, hey, like I know enough to be confident enough in my ability to program? And I will admit that in some part this is me kind of over rationalizing it a bit, but I couldn't help but think about the philosophy behind it. Like, how do you know when you know enough? I'm sure there actually is like a benchmark or some sort of criteria to like meet, but yeah, it's just, how do you know? You know what I mean? Like, just how do you know? How do you know? How do you know? Another certified Ava Classic insight from the Divine Intellect TM was realizing just how much like internal resistance I had towards disciplined thought. Now, this one probably isn't very coding specific or whatever, but I was just surprised to see how resistant and kind of scared I was of coding. Obviously, on surface level, it does seem like a kind of big deal, but again, when you really break it down, it's not that bad. So why was I so resistant? Why was I so scared of discipline? Why was I so scared of wrangling concepts that are just really, dense, sure, but straightforward enough if you actually have the patience to just sit with them and tackle them? So that was another thing, like a personal thing that I had to reckon with, was just getting past my sense of like fear surrounding learning hard things and doing hard things. I know that it's kind of tough because we live in a world that conditions us to be as pampered as possible, but I don't know, if I actually want to do anything of note or anything that's interesting in life, I'm gonna have to get past, sucking my thumb and scrolling Instagram for 10 hours a day, right? I definitely will assert as well that it is nerve-wracking to be a disciplined thinker. It is nerve-wracking to have to think fairly linearly about things. So for example, if you have an expectation that you want your code to do this thing, you have to think about like what it's going to do. You have to think about like what each thing is going to do to lead you to that point. Like I tried making a simple calculator, and I wanted to make the exponent function. In Python, making an exponent function is piss easy, dude. It practically does it for you. In C++, the exponent function, it's not impossible, but it's definitely nowhere near as You know what I mean? Just as clear as it was in Python. I'm not even sure if that was a relevant example, but it made sense to me. It made sense to me. And that's all that matters. But yeah, I definitely do kind of still struggle with structure a bit, but it's getting a lot better because this C++ will beat your ass into shape. It will fucking beat you. So in conclusion, in summary, yeah, that was pretty much what I had done so far in the last half month in a nutshell. I definitely hope that in about 3, 6, 9 months I can look back and be like, damn, you actually smashed some goals. You actually did crazy. You actually did well. You actually followed through. So we'll see. So yeah, feel free to comment or like leave your thoughts if you want. All 2 of you who watched this video, you 2 are much loved and appreciated, though. All 2 of you are much loved and appreciated. And final thing, at some point I actually will upload to GitHub. It's just the things that I've been coding so far are literally nothing to write home about. And one of the calculator that I made is literally just like, it's so how's your father. But yeah, at some point I actually will upload stuff. Like definitely within this coming week, I will upload stuff to Giddy and brace myself to just have the shit kicked out of me. I will see how we go.